What is up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a truck tour of my 2016 Peterbilt 389 with a Miller Industries 7035 35-ton wrecker body. So let's get this thing started. Okay, so right off the bat I got my lighting here, so let's go ahead and start with the headlights. The headlights are both high beam and low beam LED upgrades by Oxbeam. Those work really well. I'm really impressed with those. These running lights right here are like a running light that just stays on. It's a nice accent to the truck, complements all the LEDs on the truck. Down here we have upgraded Oxbeam LED fog lights. Go ahead and move, same thing over here. Right here we have air breather lights. Those are just generic Peterbilt air breather lights, 6 light, so those are pretty nice. Let's go ahead and move down the side. Got chrome tanks, dual tanks on both sides. Down here we got the DEF tank. We got 2 dual air tanks there and a battery box there, all chrome accented. Moving down the side of the body, this is all Miller Industries. So Miller Industries puts these lights down the side of the bed. Those look awesome. Down here we just got some running lights. We got a dock light here that changes to white LED when you switch it from in the cab, so it's pretty nice when you're in a tight spot. You can switch that to white and it'll be a dock light. Back here are the rear taillights. We have 2 LED taillights, and then one of them is also a brake light, and then we have a blinker and a reverse light, all LED. And then something that I added to the truck is these blue, at the moment, LED lights. These are also RGB lighting, so you can change it to whatever color you want. Puts a nice glow up on the boom at night, looks awesome. And then just another upgrade in between the sleeper and the wrecker body, I put 2 red LED strips here just to add a little more accent lighting to the back of the sleeper. Okay, now I popped the hood, and let's go and take a look under the hood. We got a Cummins ISX 15. This is a 500 horsepower motor. I know I've said 450 in the past. I actually just discovered that it was a 500 horse myself. I was always told it was a 450, so this is a 500 horsepower Cummins motor. So here is the driver's side of the motor. Driver's side of the motor, we just have power steering. We got the radiator here, intercooler in front of that, oil dipstick, pretty nice. Here's the steering shaft, runs down to the power steering pump. Just all the normal necessities. Down here we have a remote lube station that you can pretty much lube all the parts that you can't really get to easily. Okay, here we're on the passenger side. The passenger side, we got the turbo, alternator, we got the coolant reservoir, and we got the intake tubing out of the air breather on this side as well, and it all meets up and goes straight into the turbo. So here's the look at the passenger side. Okay, and before we get inside the cab, I do want to remind you that this is a work truck. And it is working, and I have not rearranged anything or organized this truck. This is in complete working order, the way that I would use it or left it from the last tow. For example, the last time I used this truck was yesterday from the video where you guys saw me tow a tractor trailer. Alright guys, we're inside the cab of my truck. I apologize for the glare on the camera. It is trying to balance between the windshield and here, so just bear with me for a little bit. But anyway, inside the cab we just got all our standard gauges. We got a GPS head unit here and audio, and then we have an auxiliary switch here for my breather lights, and this is an 18-speed transmission. Down here we just got our parking brake, our trailer brake as standard. This truck currently has 75,393 miles. Over here on the left side we have just all our light switches. So here's headlights, running lights, and fog lights. We have hazards, dash brightness, the key obviously, and then this isn't wired to anything, but that would be like behind the cab lighting. Okay, so above me, this is in the driver's seat, so right above me we have the Miller Industries touch panel. So this controls everything from my PTO, my control power, all beacons, all lighting, and everything in between. It also has a page where I can go and look at gauges. So right now it's not showing anything, but we have battery voltage, we have tachometer, fuel level, DEF level, or coolant temperature, PTO hour, job hours. We can also set service reminders, do job logs, have the date and time. I just keep it on the switch panel, that's all I really use it for. But for example, you can do all on, and everything comes on. You can see our beacons are on, everything's on, and you can do all off. So that's pretty cool. Over here we have a camera. This camera shows the rear. So this is a camera, and I'll show you when we get to the back. But this is a camera that you use when you're going down the road, and then usually when I'm in tow with something, I switch it to this camera. Right now you can't see anything because the underlift's folded up in front of it, but when the underlift's down, this is the perfect view for when you're in tow with something. So we'll go ahead and switch it back to that camera. Over here we just have a Cobra Cb radio right here, and then we have the shop radio as well that we communicate with our dispatch. Back here is my sleeper. Sleeper isn't used at all, really. I've never slept back there at all, but it's nice to have. It's a good storage option. I'll show you what I store under it. It's kind of where I keep all my cleaning goodies, and then that's just a window cover that you can take down if you want to have a window. Okay, and down here in the center we just have a fire extinguisher, some business cards, cup holders, and some just like address books and whatnot for businesses. Okay, and before we completely hop out of the cab, I just want to show here, I usually keep a towel here, and then I set my invoice book on here when I'm in this truck, and then I also have my remote charging station here. The remote has all the functions needed to control the vehicle. The only controls you don't get on here is the rear outriggers, or downriggers, but you can control everything with this remote, and then it just likes to sit here and charge. Alright, so we're going to start with the sleeper door. The sleeper door is where I keep all my cleaning products. So I got spray wax, water, leather interior cleaner, glass cleaner, tire shine, wax pads, wax, foam cannon, soap, more tire shine, and like sponges, microfiber towels, and a bunch of other little things, clay bars and whatnot. So this is where I keep that, and then it's more of a storage compartment back there. I got my top of the Milwaukee M18 gun, and then some extra axle covers, and then I have some road triangles, and then we got a fuse box back here. And then when my coveralls are here, then I throw them in here, but right now they're getting washed. So that's where those go. Let's go and move over here. This is the first box. So the first box is gonna have all my tall forks. So we got tall wide, we got tall mediums, and tall smalls, or actually medium smalls there. And then same thing down here, mediums of all those widths. And then here we have a fifth wheel attachment. We have the pin for the fifth wheel attachment. So this is, you can hook a fifth wheel into the actual fifth wheel. And then we have leaf spring forks. We have bus forks. These are used on buses. Never used them personally, but I know that they work on buses. And then we got some like extra pins. Up here we have fork spacers. So these are used to create spacing. So you reduce that gap by putting a spacer in. And then here we just have a first aid kit. Up here we have all the lumber. This is actually some leftover cord from a broken strap that I found. I just picked it up and threw it in here, but it's not from my truck. So this is, I just put some serpentine belt, cut them up and bolted them, or screwed them into the side of the wood there so you can pull it. This is really heavy duty wood. We got 3 long blocks there, and then 2 short blocks up there, and a piece of angle iron. I also have a bat here. A bat, I just use that to hit the tires every once in a while just to make sure that they're inflated properly, roughly. Then I got 2 bungee cords here, just extra bungee cords. Alright, now that we're done with this box, let's go and move on to the next one. Okay, so the second box here. Second box is going to have the bus lift attachment. Don't use this very often. It's super heavy, but it is good to have for certain situations. So that's everything that you need to use the bus lift. We also got a harness that you can strap on and get pulled up or down a hill or something like that. It's just a harness, a man harness. Never used it before, but it's good to have for certain situations. Over here we just got a tarp. Tarp's good for securing burn jobs or anything like that. Just put a big tarp over whatever you're towing if it's a pretty severely damaged casualty. Over here we just got the pins for the bus forks and then a mini pry bar to tighten down the ratchet. And then what I just keep over here hanging on the bus fork is a 5th wheel pin puller. Alright, now that we're done with this box, let's go and move on to the next one. Alright, so here's the third box. Third box is going to be my long chains. This is where I kind of keep all the chains that I don't use very often, but they are definitely necessary to have for recoveries. So we got two 20-foot long grade 100 chains. We just got a bunch of more chain, but those are heavy duty chain that I use on the big recoveries. Got a bunch of binders, chain. We got another binder down here and some oversized load signs back here. So that's nothing more than a big chain box where I keep all my extra chains that I don't use as often, but they are definitely necessary to have. And then here on the door I just have all of my chain ratings, my cable ratings, and my sling ratings. Okay, we're done with this box. Let's go and move on to the next. Okay, here on my next box I have all of my round slings and straps. So you can see here I labeled 8, 6, and 4 foots. I have 12 foots here and 16 foots here. So up here we just have 8, 6, and 4 foot straps as well as a recovery strap. Then down here we have 12 foot longs and a set of rim slings. Those are kind of their own category, so I just set them there. And then down here we have our 16-foot blue slings. Those are for heavy duty lifting. All right, that's pretty much it for this box. Let's go and move on to the next one. All right, so here's the next box. Let's go and open it up. In this box we got a fire extinguisher. We got a 25-foot long air hose. We have a single block just for miscellaneous use. We have another 25-foot air hose. We have my light bar. This goes on the back of my towed unit and basically replicates whatever signals I put out on the blinkers and brakes. So if I hit the brakes, brake light comes on. If I hit the blinker, blinker comes on. Alright, so that's it for this box. Let's go and move on to the next one. Alright, next box here, we got the control station, the driver's side control station. Let's go and start over here though. I got my lemur light here, set this up for pulling drive shafts or warning motorists that I'm on the side of the road. Up here we got my air tensioners for the winches. I usually keep them around 60 pounds. Seems like the best result for me. Got a pair of gloves here and then a pair of rubber gloves that I usually put under these gloves. At the control station here, we have another Miller Industries touch panel that I can hit all on. Everything comes on. If I hit all on, everything comes on, all my beacons, all my lights, everything comes on. So we're gonna turn that all off and then we'll turn on toolbox lights. So now that we got that, so this is gonna be your two spade controls. You have spade up, spade down. That's for right and left, or left and right. Here you got boom extend in and out. You have boom lift up and down. You have left cable in and out, right cable in and out, and I also took some tape. So I put white tape and red tape, and then I replicated that on the hooks, so it's just easy color coordination. If you want red, you just look at red and go. Over here we got underlift extend in and out, we have underlift tilt in and out, and then we have underlift fold up and down. Up here we got hydraulic pressure gauges. Over here we have left cable free spool on and off, and right cable free spool on and off, and then we have left cable high speed and low speed, and right cable high speed and low speed, and then we have a throttle up switch where you can throttle up the engine and run the controls a little bit quicker. And then over here to the right I just have a tub of towels that I clean my hands and tools and anything that gets grease on them with. They're really handy towels. I definitely suggest those. Alright, we're done with this box. Let's go ahead and move on to the back. Alright guys, so here in the back we have a compartment here. This compartment holds my U-bolt forks. So that's my probably second most used. This is used for rear towing trucks, anything with U-bolts on the back you can pretty much hook up with these. Pretty commonly used. So let's go ahead and close that compartment. Alright, back here we have a safety chain pocket. I don't use this safety chain pocket because it the chains run down and scratch this chrome. So I try to keep them off of there, and I usually hook my safety chains into here. We got rear outrigger here, D-ring there. Up here we have the wireless light bar transmitter. This is what transmits the signal from the back of my truck to the back of a tractor trailer or whatever I'm towing. This is a constant air, so this always has air pressure whether the red valve is pressed in or not. Up here we have the boom. Boom shoots out. We got 2 cables. This is what I was talking about, white tape and red tape, and those just are secured to these spring-loaded mounts. Here we have the underlift. The underlift is in the up position right now, but is folded down to tow any vehicle that I want, basically. Okay, now we're on the right side. The right side houses, same thing, another safety chain pocket. But like I said, I put them down here to this steel welded bracket. Over here we have emergency and service. Now these air connections are only on when the red valve is pressed in. So for example, if I were to plug air into this emergency line, it would only have constant air if the red valve is pushed in. So I always keep that red valve in pretty much at all times. And then this is a brake line. So if I wanted to run brakes to the back of a trailer, then I would run a line from here to the blue line on a trailer. So just imagine this being the blue end of the back of a truck, and then you hook the blue to your trailer. In this side compartment here, we have my favorite forks, most used forks. They're the Miller Industries short forks. This is pretty much industry standard for hooking onto the front axle of standard trucks. Pretty much works for everything. It's universal. This is just another set of controls, pretty much like the remote, just fixed onto the truck, not proportional. You just push it, gives it 100%. Don't push it, it gives you 0. Okay, now we're going to move on to the passenger side control station. Passenger side control station houses my 10 to 12 foot air hose. This is used for going to compressors or anything really close to the back of the truck. It's just easier to deal with a shorter hose than a full 25 section foot of hose. Here I got 2 strap protectors. This is used to protect the straps from tearing on sharp edges, so those are good to have. And then over here we just have boom in and out, boom lift up and down, left cable in and out, right cable in and out, left spade up and down, right spade up and down. The only thing you don't have over here is all your underlift controls. Over here we got left cable free spool, right cable free spool, left cable high speed and low speed, and right cable high speed and low speed. So that's over here. Then over here I have 2 blocks. These blocks I use to pre-lift trucks. For example, if they're too low to the ground and I can't get under the axle, I'll lift them first, put these blocks under the front tires, and then set them on here. So this is kind of my go-to blocks. I just keep them right here on the passenger side. Over here we have 2 master links. These are pretty commonly used for pulling out Kenworths and stuff like that that have a big pull pin on the front. I can just slide this in, drop it in, and hook my cable to this. Over here I fabricated a mount for bungee cords. So I just have a bungee cord mount that holds all my bungee cords. That's where I like to keep those. Alright, we're done over here. Let's go and move on to the next compartment. Next compartment, I got 2 ratchet straps, 2-inch wide ratchet straps. So I got 2 straps, 2 ratchets. I got all of the D-rings necessary for anything from little tiny stuff to full-size 40-foot containers. This is a driveline puller used for pressed-in drive shafts. Don't use it a whole lot, but it's good to have for when you come across it because they are very difficult to get out. Here I have my Milwaukee M18 Impact Gun. I took the cover off and just set this in there. This is really handy for pulling drive shafts or pulling axles. Here I got a set of metric driveline sockets by Sunex. And then here I have a assorted list here of web shackles that are used for the big recovery straps. Down here I got another set of bungee cord mounts that I fabricated for the shorter style. Alright, that's pretty much it for this box. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Alright, in this box, this is going to be my toolbox. So my toolbox, up here I have all of my metric sized wrenches. Over here I have assorted airlines for tapping into really anything. Those are kind of universal. You can do a lot with those if you find the right fitting. Over here I have carb cleaner and cable lube. Just kind of keep them there. They're just good to have. Over here I have all my sockets. So these are 3/8 size, metric and standard. And then over here I have my 1/2 inch, which is the most used. and then I have them in 12 points, so I have everything from 10 all the way to 24 and then to 27. And then over here I have 3/8 all the way up to 1 1/8. And then, so that's where I keep all my sockets. Most used sockets are 12, 13, and half. That's pretty much standard. 3/8 is used sometimes in a 10mm. Over here I have my ratcheting breaker bar. This is really handy, puts out a lot of torque, but it's ratcheting, so that's pretty nice. I just have a standard ratchet. I have 2 extensions here and a caging bolt socket. This is a 3/4 inch socket used for caging brakes. Over here I just got some lights that I don't really use a lot, but I take with me sometimes to pull drive lines. Down on the second shelf we just have an assorted box of pliers, vice grips, crescent wrench. Crescent wrench is used a lot. Back here we have a box of plastic baggies that I like to put the driveline bolts in. Down here we have a assorted box of cotter pins. Over here we have a box of metric and standard Allen keys, Allen wrenches. Over here we just have assorted screwdrivers, pry bars, more assorted screwdrivers. Just kind of keep those there. They don't get used a whole lot, but they do get used. Down here I got washers for putting on axle covers. I have caging bolts. I have a glad hand and extra air fittings that don't get used very often, but they're just good to have. Okay, next to all that, I got hammers of different sizes. I got a longer shaft, I got a short, medium shaft, and another longer one. I have a Tiger tool here. This is another form of tool to pull pressed in drive lines. Handy, don't use it too often, but definitely good to have. Here I have assorted 3/8 sockets, a 3/8 ratchet. Don't use that very often, but good to have. Down here I have a set of impact sockets that are good for lug nuts, axles, anything like that, anything really big. This is where I go to get those. Back here I have some assorted extra driveline bolts. Sometimes you lose one or something breaks, so you can put one in to replace it. Down here I have all my pull pins for pulling out tractor trailers. I got Freightliner, Kenworth, another Freightliner, I got International in there, Volvo, Peterbilt, everything you need to pull out a truck and trailer. And I got 2 sets of each, or I guess one set of each. Down here I have all of the pins necessary to lock some of these in, like the Volvos have to have a pin that goes through it, so you'd use certain pins. This is like a Peterbilt pin, a big wide pin that just gets dropped in the front of the bumper. Down here I have a bottle jack and another bottle jack. Bottle jacks are good for freeing up tension in the driveline. If you have tension in the driveline, you have to jack up one side of the truck and release that tension. So these are good to have. Like I said, don't get used very often, but they're good to have. I have an electric air gun back here in case my Milwaukee battery dies or something like that. Just another good thing to have. And then I have some extra really tiny sockets in case I come across something that I need those sockets. Okay, so here on the door I have a bunch of standard wrenches, and then I have another set of standard wrenches. Another honorable mention here, I have a Matco 1/2 inch and 12mm wrench. This wrench is probably about 1.5 feet long. It's got a 12-point ratcheting on both ends, and then it has a 12-point fixed box end on this. So what I like to do is take both of these wrenches down with me. Since a 12mm and 1/2 inch are pretty standard for drive lines, I'll take both of these down with me. I'll put either one on there, figure out what size it is, I'll break it loose, and then I'll zip it out with my impact gun. So that's kind of my standard procedure. Okay, down here I got a bottle of WD-40, another bottle of WD-40. I have a tape measure, I have some paper towels, some air gun lube, electrical tape, and safety goggles. Down here I just have a good set of 12-point sockets. Just good to have another extra set. Redundancy is pretty good to have. And then I have an air valve here that I can pump up tires. And then here I have just a file. Never know what you need. So this toolbox pretty much has everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and give you a little more in-depth tour of my air box. Okay, so my air fitting box, this is just a box you can find at like Ross or something, but it works really good for this application. What I usually set on there is this wrench. This wrench is 11/16 and 5/8 on both sides, so you have one of each. And this wrench is perfect for this airbox because it fits all of the fittings, whether it's one size or the other. So this is just good to have. Bring it down with you and you have all the sizes you need. So we'll go ahead and set that off to the side. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of my box. Okay, so inside the box we have a R134a coupler. This is pretty much used on Freightliners and Volvos. So this is a quick connect for Freightliners and Volvos. Down here I have a closing valve, just a miscellaneous fitting that you should have. Over here I have various spacers. So this is I have reducers and expanders. Bring it up to whatever size you need or bring it down. Then over here I just have standard air chucks. So anything, I have a reducer here, so this brings it from this size down to this size. Male, female, everything in between. Over here I have another quick connect. This is commonly used for internationals. This one here, this is just a standard coupler that hooks onto any airline, but this is the large end that plugs in the back of my wrecker. Here's a two-way male to male with a shutoff valve in the middle. This is good for really anything. It's good to have. Like I said, redundancy is good in this industry. Here I have another swivel connection. This is what I'd use to like tap a air tank or something. This is with the smaller thread. I can put a spacer on it or a reducer and bring it from a large to this, and then I can plug my airline into here. So that's what I have on here. I have the spacer on it. So same thing, just one's with the reducer and one's without. Then down here I have another one that isn't set up for anything yet, but it's good to have. Over here I have a thread where I can go into a tank. It's on a swivel and then it can attach to the back of my air hose. Okay, so this is another quick connect. This is used for like Peterbilts, Kenworths, any like PACCAR products. This is a quick connect that you can usually find on the frame rail or on the compressor line. You just tap in with this. And then this one is used for international. Most internationals have a quick connect on the tank itself. It's like a little nipple that you can grab onto, so you just push this in and it grabs right on. We got a female end coupler here, 1/4-inch coupler. This is a universal end. These are really handy. They can, by universal, what I mean is that it can couple up to either the little one like that or the bigger one like that. So it can couple onto anything. That's really handy to have. This is a quick connect that is used to tap compressor lines, so you can pull the main compressor line off of any truck that has a steel braided line and tap your air into it that way. And then over here I have some DOT push to connects, 1/4-inch, 1/2-inch, 3/8, anything in between. So those are good to have. Okay, now that I've shown you my toolbox, let's go and move on to the next box. Okay, my next box over from the toolbox. We got my Airline Box. Now here I keep my light cord. This is good for running to trailers in the middle of the night, so you have full running lights on the trailer. Up here we have a glad hand to male connection. Up here we have a male to female coiled line. Here we have a female to male coiled line in blue with a 1/4-inch connection. And then here we have a blue 1/4-inch connection to 1/4-inch connection. So these are 1/4-inch, these are 1/2. Down here we have extra air hose, we have an expandable ladder. I have some cardboard for when it gets really hot. I can set this down on the ground so I don't burn myself. Back there we have a cut open oil container, like a quart-sized container. That's good for draining oil into when you pull axles. Down here we have an extra airline. We have another oil can that you can pour oil into. Here we have a trash can with absorbent, and then a trash can that's empty. And then another oil can there. And then here I have about a 35-foot section of air hose with a glad hand at the end and a 1/4-inch male connection there, and what I use this for is running brakes to the back of a trailer when I'm towing a tractor trailer. Alright, now that I've shown you this box, let's go and move on to the next one. Okay, next box over. Next box over is my chain box that I use most often. So let's go and move from left to right. So we got snatch blocks back here, we got 2 snatch blocks there and 2 snatch blocks down there. These are my driveline straps. These driveline straps are pretty cool. They're extendable and retractable ratchet straps, so you can pull all the section out that you need and then hit this red button and it self-retracts all the slack, and then you can ratchet it down. So I got 2 of those. These are my axle chains that I use most often for front towing trucks, and then behind that is the axle chains that I use for rear towing. Here I have my 2 safety chains, so I got 1 set there, 1 set there. Back here I got about a 10-foot section of grade 100 chain, 2 of those that I use for winching out trucks. And then here I have Miller Industries frame fork chains. So this pretty much locks on perfectly to the frame of a truck or the front pocket on a trailer. And then I'll hook that, most of the time I'll hook that into the front of a trailer, make a loop with the hook, and then hook my chain into it so that I can pull the front of a trailer. And then here we just got some mini J-hooks that are good for if you have to recover a car out of a canal or something. Just miscellaneous stuff, but they're good to have. And then here we have another set of rating charts, good to have there. Okay, so that's my chain box. Let's go and move on to the next box. Okay, last but not least, we got my passenger side front box. This is gonna be for my shorter forks. So up here we got a set of medium forks and then short forks. These are really wide for grabbing. It's hard to say what you're going to grab with them, but they're good to have. And then we have a set of forks there. We got my chain forks. These are good for towing trash trucks or chain slinging wrecked casualties. We got a set of end cap forks. Those are good for hard barring trailers that are loaded. Here we got a 5th wheel attachment and a pintle hitch attachment. So this drops into the fork holes on the receiver on your underlift, and then you can put either a 5th wheel plate there, a pintle hitch, a ball hitch. You can put a lot of attachments on here. Up here we got the 5th wheel plate that can drop into there, so you drop it in and drop that pin in, but that's only good for empty trailers. And then up here we got a pry bar, a broom. Over here we got a pair of bolt cutters, a axe here, and then a shovel here. Here we got a set of axle covers that are most commonly used for pulling axles, and then this is the other end of the tunnel box with all the lumber. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed the tour of my truck. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting to see the tour of my truck, so there it is in all its glory. Like I said, it is a working truck, and this is how I keep it on a daily basis. I didn't organize it before or anything like that. This is just how I keep it, so hopefully you guys are impressed with that. It's a pretty nice truck. I really enjoy it. I keep it clean, and I like how everything has a spot. So with that being said, go ahead and comment what you guys thought about it. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching guys, and have a great day.